Now for the word on the American dream. Hey, look, when you watch the mainstream media, you see a bunch of stuff that you can't control. Trump, politics, the market. I'm not saying you shouldn't stay engaged in this stuff, but you have no influence over them or how it's going to affect your life and your family. On this show, we try and influence you for the positive. So today we're going to be talking about business, things you can control, startup, marketing, what's happening in social media, upcoming trends that you should look forward to. But also, what about your personal business? Your real estate, your mortgage, your finance, your tax plan, your credit scores. These are things that you can control, and that's where we really try and empower your American dream. So today, you're going to see a lot of great So I'm going to tell you what happened right there. We always pride ourselves on being unscripted, and I just botched that so badly. So you know the point I was getting at. Let's start the show. Welcome back to the American Dream, the wantrepreneur versus the entrepreneur. I feel like entrepreneur is thrown around so much these days. Well, recently there was a conference with Traffic and Conversion that had 3,000 of people building online businesses. Now, whether you're starting a business, you work with someone or for someone, the world of marketing has absolutely changed. Joining us in studio, the co-founder of BuildFire, Ian Blair. Good to have you on the show, man.
Happy to be here, as always.
So you're part of this conference,
Absolutely.
obviously, with BuildFire. You guys are a tech company just making a major ripple through that world. But talk to me about this conference. It's the biggest one that happens every year. It's some of the brightest minds when it comes to digital marketing. What'd you learn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many takeaways, and I think if you just look at like all the different types of businesses, everyone's leveraging the internet a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Because you have so many available channels. Our business in particular, we've grown a lot, via inbound marketing, and with that.
Now, you guys are a company, just so our audience understands, you run BuildFire, which is you basically help businesses create apps.
Yeah, I like to kind of think of us like the WordPress for mobile apps. Basically, we're a platform for people to build apps easier and quicker.
And how important is it that content is actually authentic? I see so many businesses online, they're just smacking the face with an ad. When I hear the word content, that's more about creating something of value, an article, a blog, something that someone can actually learn from without necessarily an immediate hook, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the buying journey, what is that initial piece of content supposed to do? It's supposed to build like authority, it's supposed to build rapport with someone, it's supposed to build trust. And if your content isn't quality, you're not going to be able to build those characteristics of the relationship, because it's really a buying relationship over time. It's not just little hacks that are going to cause someone to fork over money. Like,
right.
People vote with their dollars, right? And people are going to invest in things that they get value from. And you can't. I think it's getting a lot harder nowadays to have non-authentic content because it's just so competitive.
Give me an example of good content from your point of view.
I think good content's generally something that offers someone say, for example, you have a question about something.
Sure.
You want that question answered in the most in-depth, thorough way possible, but also not being like too long. So it's really, what's the pain point that you have, and then how does this content alleviate that? Okay. Because that's really what you're always, like, whenever you're Googling something, it's like, oh, I'm hungry. Like, what's going to alleviate that pain point, right? Or it's
that's
like,
a great example.
My dishwasher's broken. How am I going to fix that, right? You're going to go towards something that's going to offer you the value and give you the information that you need. So that's, I think, at a high level, you have people that have an issue. How is this content going to help benefit them?
I've heard from BuildFire, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. With Facebook, we kind of are, but it's an interesting world. Ian Blair with BuildFire, buildfire.com. These guys are building apps. Great to have you on the show. Help us understand what's going on in this tech world. Fascinating space, man. Glad to hear you guys are successful in it.
Thanks for having me.
More of the American Dream coming up next. All right, welcome back to the show. Two of my favorite topics, business and marketing. Joining us on the show, one of the best in the business when it comes to real estate, Seth O'Byrne, and also for the first time, Whitney Eckes with Eckes Marketing. Sounds like wet kiss, right?
Perfect.
Got it. That's how I was trained going into the show here today. So these two worlds combine big time, especially since marketing real estate isn't just about putting a sign in the yard anymore. There's pushing your brand out there, attracting people to you, and then these high-end listings that you work on. Mm-hmm. So how does it play in from your point of view, this online world?
Yeah, what I realize is, most brokers out there, right? We have this master brand. For us, it's Sotheby's International Realty that has an ability and a budget to push an agenda for the company out to the actual end users, the consumers, at a national level. But you still need social media to be boots on the ground. And that's how I see social media, is we're influencing people one-on-one. When I speak on social media, I speak to one person only. You know, we might have 100 or 200,000 impressions every single week on our Instagram page, but I speak as if I'm talking to the one person consuming the media. And that sort of personal touch is really what makes social media so powerful for brands.
It's an interesting medium, because I look at it and I think that there's the busyness of it and then the business. The busyness is the person that's hiding behind their computer, not building real relationships and not really, kind of posing. And the business of it, you have secured, I think you have $200-something million worth of listings right now. I know a lot of it has come from your online presence. So you just had a big event. Tell us about the event.
I did. It's called Influence San Diego.
And he spoke at it?
He did.
Seth has now become a world-renowned speaker.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Recently, traveling all over the world, doing these fancy videos.
It was pretty exciting because I felt like pretty cool stuff to be able to speak at the event. But then when I saw the entrepreneurs that I was introducing at your incredible event, which was sold out and packed to the wall to wall, I was like, wow, this is really a big deal. Like it was some major people in the world of social entrepreneurship.
What was your intent? Was it to just educate others in this space? Because I know you had a lot of really big name speakers.
Yeah, actually it started out as just kind of wanting to bring together influencers in San Diego and talk about what it meant to be an influence upon San Diego. And then we actually got amazing local brands to kind of partner and really create, kind of brand the gap between influencers and brands and talk about, the San Diego market and how we can be a better influence upon it as a business market and also too as this social kind of influencer market.
Take us back to real estate and how you leverage it on that front.
Yeah.
What are the most important things that anyone can do when marketing a home online in today's world with international buyers?
Story, authenticity, much in the same way that Whitney was saying, and start with the why. All your marketing has to start with the why. We're not pushing products, we're pushing opportunities, lifestyles, ways to change your life. I think if you focus on that, your social media will be really strong.
What do you think the key ingredient is?
Gosh, I'm going back to authenticity. I think really kind of like, everyone asks you like, what's the sweet spot? And it's really just being yourself, right? It's being you.
Why do people have a hard time with that?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard to be transparent in front of a giant audience, and the more you grow this following, you have all this engagement, the more that you're putting yourself out there in front of a bunch of people.
What do you think the future of social media and business is?
Oh, I think it's just going to keep growing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, same.
Do you think it's going to be new mediums coming up? Is Facebook going to continue being the million-pound gorilla?
No, I already think Instagram has really surpassed it. I know for my own personal business, Instagram is far more impactful than Facebook ever was because it allows us to both go wide and go deep at the same time.
Yep.
Facebook, you've got to write some pretty hefty checks to do that. I do think as Instagram and Facebook continue to make it harder and harder to reach an audience without paying for it, I think there's going to be more and more applications that are going to come out on all of our phones that are going to allow us to interact without spending so many dollars. And I think that's kind of a perpetuating trend.
Fascinating times. Whitney Eckes with Eckes Marketing. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll have you on again, hopefully.
Yes.
Seth LeBurn, one of the best marketers in real estate, absolutely dominating that market. Good to have you on the show as well.
Yeah, thank you.
More of The American Dream coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Of course, on a program called The American Dream, we talk about real estate, finding your dream home. What about financing your dream home? This guy is a national icon in the mortgage space, also a genius when it comes to the evolution of technology. Dave Savage with Mortgage Coach joins us on the show. Dave, good to have you on the show.
Good to be on the show, and I don't know about genius, but I'm always learning and always trying.
Out of a WeWork in Portland, talk about the advancement of business. You're actually in a great illustration of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think WeWork is really revolutionizing how we think of office space. So yeah, I work out of a WeWork in Portland, and I travel a lot and always try to do as much business as I can in WeWork space.
So talk to us a little bit about the lending mortgage environment. You kind of oversee that 30,000-foot view of the entire industry. We have a lot of great core mortgage partners in every city that the American Dream is airing in, but all housing markets are local, even some of the finance to a certain extent. What do you think about the finance industry and what's happening in the mortgage world?
Well, the big trends in today's market are rates are up. They've increased quite a bit over the past weeks, and inventory is tight. So, for a seller, that's an opportunity to get the best possible price on a home. Although, let's face it, in every market, there's what's called that dual market where the high end isn't selling as fast as the middle or lower end. But I mean, those are the two biggest things that are impacting the market today. So lenders, working with the right lender that's got the heart of a teacher and helps you create clarity and confidence around your options. That's always the best mortgage professional to work with.
Dave, I wonder about what's going to happen with the move-up buyer if and when rates continue to move up. I mean, right now it just seems like there's a great opportunity to reposition equity, to buy your dream home with a low interest rate. Do you think if rates start to creep up 5%, 6%, I know we don't have a crystal ball, but if that does happen, do you think that that's going to really deteriorate the move-up buyer? I mean, who's going to want to sell a house at a 3.5% and take a 6%? What do you think happens in that environment?
If the past is the indicator of the future, we know that every time that rates have gone up, so have values, or at least the past 4 times. So most likely, if rates are going up, that means the economy is doing well, jobs are being created, and demand is high, so values are going to go up. And when you really look at that increase in value, there's a whole lot more to be lost there than the monthly payment. Although, I think the bigger concern with waiting is the cost of both. Rates going up and values going up by now.
Yeah. So, Dave, you've spoken to the family buying their home or moving up. We have a lot of the best realtors all across the country integrated into the show. What would be your advice to the real estate community as a whole?
Well, I think my advice to realtors as it pertains to mortgage people is obviously you want to work with a loan officer that keeps their promises and closes on time. But I think, the best mortgage partners are the educators. That's why I love your community. They're leading with education. And I think, a loan officer that creates the most confidence and clarity is the best partner. So realtor, all you real estate agents out there in the market, really audit the experience that you're creating. That's the other thing. You're seeing a shift in a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space. So it's important that you really work with advisors that can create clarity and confidence for education.
I agree with you. And for our audience to understand, Mortgage Coach is a platform that you've designed that helps buyers, move-up buyers, refinancers really understand the numbers that come with your biggest investment with real estate. And the Mortgage Coach community is where loan officers leverage the tool that you've created and certainly coaching calls and things along those lines. You've done a phenomenal job. I've been traveling the country meeting these guys, and there is an absolute distinct difference between what I consider a mortgage coach and someone who's just in the mortgage industry. There's a distinct difference. I can almost sense it when I meet someone without them even telling me. Dave Savage has created that community. If you're a realtor, if you're a consumer, I highly encourage you to connect with someone who leverages this software in this community to bring knowledge to you. Dave, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Craig. Have a great day. Love your show.
All right, man. More of The American Dream coming up next. Well, as you know, The American Dream is a national program where we focus on business, the entrepreneurial spirit, overcoming adversity, finance, the market, all things that are relevant to empowering your American dream. But a big topic of conversation on this show is housing. So what we do is we integrate local, top-producing, award-winning realtors to cover a wide range of topics on that subject, different micro markets, different niche subject matter. Housing is such a big topic, so we're going to bring you a lot of information right now from some of the best in your market. Let's check out these interviews.
Welcome back to The American Dream. We're in Nashville, Tennessee today, and we've got one of our favorites, a returning guest. We've got Matt Clausen with Clausen Group Realtors. Great to see you again, Matt.
Hello, how are you, Amy?
I'm good, thank you. I'm excited because I know you have a special guest that you've brought us today, Miranda Belote. Could you introduce and say why you brought her?
Yes, Miranda's with us today to talk about some of those things that come up often in real estate transactions, having to do with estates, death of parents, planning, all those great things that come up all the time.
Absolutely, and I think there's always a lot of questions with that, and the questions never stop, especially when it comes to this subject. So we're going to dive right in. I know, Miranda, if parents pass away and they do not have a will or anything, do they need to put that house into probate? Does the estate go into probate?
It really depends on what the children's intentions are to do with the home. So just because they do have a will doesn't necessarily mean that you do have to probate, because if your only heirs are the heirs at law, that who the property is left to in the will, then necessarily you don't have to probate. But a lot of times, if you want to get the house on the market and get it sold right away, there are waiting periods that title insurance underwriters make you follow. There's a 6-month to a year waiting period if you do not probate the estate. So there's a lot of different factors, and it really just depends on the intention of your heirs. So when in question, definitely reach out to an estate attorney, and they'll be able to help you figure out what step you need to go to next.
Right. So to clarify, if they did have a will, does that mean that it doesn't go into probate?
No. The only way that a will be recognized is if you do probate it. So if you do not to probate the will, then the wishes of the decedent do not get recognized.
So why is it important for somebody to have a will, a power of attorney, or a living will?
It's important for them to have a living will, power of attorney, last will and testament, is to make sure that your wishes are carried out. So with a power of attorney, you get to decide who manages your finances, who manages your healthcare decisions in the event that you cannot do so. Mm-hmm. Your last will and testament, it's going to direct who you want to leave your property to, your personal property, your heirlooms. And without those documents, nobody can read your mind. So that lets you make sure that your wishes are going to be carried on once you pass away.
Right, and it's so important because I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about it, but it's so important that they do talk about it. That way it takes all the worry out, and it's great information. I encourage everybody to reach out to you. Thank you for that, Miranda. And Matt, back to you. I know that you, being an expert in the industry, also have a featured listing for us right now.
We do. It's really a fantastic property in the Savannah subdivision, which is approaching the country between Gallatin and Hendersonville. It's 100 Gaston. It's on an acre. It's just beautiful outside, trees, big estates across the highway from this property. It was a model home for a custom home builder in the neighborhood, so lots of interior detail work over the top. Very beautiful, 4,200 square feet for under $650,000. It's really priced well, and it's a beautiful house.
That just sounds amazing. I love the properties over there in Tennessee. You just cannot go wrong with any of them. What a great featured listing. And Matt, thank you again for being a part of the American Dream Show and for bringing Miranda today.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back with more of the American Dream. And we're back with the American Dream. We've got JC Cook with Crylike in Nashville, Tennessee today. She is one of the top experts there in the real estate market in that area. And I am excited to have you back on. JC, great to see you again.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I know that in the past you've been really talking about key points for buyers and sellers. And today's a great topic as you want to discuss home inspection. And I know a lot of people don't realize how important it is to talk about it, but we're going to dive right in. And tell me why this is such a hot topic with the Nashville market.
Yes, sure. Well, our market is so fast in most cases, so it's affecting both buyers and sellers, and being educated about inspections is super important because from the seller's perspective, people are oftentimes selling houses as is, and with the market so fast, they can be a little bit more choosy on what sellers do and don't want to fix. From the buyer side, you need to understand how you may win or lose a deal based on the contingencies you put in for inspections, but making sure that you're comfortable on both sides with the price you offer up front and the inspection contingencies that are all part of the deal on both the selling and the listing, the buying side.
Right, and I know that it's a real competitive market there and speed is a factor. How does this relate with the home inspection and where is that tailor into that?
Well, it's definitely shortening some of the inspection periods that buyers usually put into the contract, getting the inspector out there quicker so that a seller will know whether they can come to agreement on what will and won't be fixed as part of the deal. And oftentimes, you may be up against multiple offers if you're the buyer, and people are taking risks and making offers not based on inspections or solely based on pass or fail inspections where no repairs will be expected, but they at least will know if there are major things wrong before they decide to buy the house.
I know another thing there that people may not realize if they're just moving into Tennessee is radon. That is a big issue there. Can you touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so radon is the #2 cause of lung cancer, second to cigarette smoke.
Wow.
And Tennessee it has a ton of rock in our soil. So radon is emitted as rock disintegrates, and the pressure inside a home is less than the pressure in the atmosphere, so it tends to come up into the house. So making sure that you test a house for radon as part of your inspections is super important, because oftentimes the seller will be responsible for putting in some kind of mitigation system if your house tests above an acceptable radon level.
Wow, and another reason that it's so important that you have experts that you're working with the entire real estate transaction like yourself. I know that you also have a featured listing right now that your future buyers can take a look at. You want to tell me about that?
Absolutely. So this is a new listing at 711 Chesterfield Way in Nashville. It is the perfect location. It's right between Hillsborough Village and the West End, super close to Vanderbilt, all the hospitals and the university. It's 4-bedroom, 4-bath, which is amazing, and it has a 2-car garage, which is very unique that close to the city. It's 4 years old, but like new, and just came on the market, listed at $529,900 on Monday.
JC, always great to have you a part of the American Dream. Thank you for being on the show again today.
Thank you, and I'll see you next month.
We'll see you next time. And we'll be back with the American Dream. Welcome back to the American Dream, one of the greatest cities here in the United States. We've got Nashville, Tennessee, and an expert today, Bruce Jones, in luxury homes. And he's with RE/MAX Fine Homes. Thanks for being on American Dream today.
Hey, thanks. Always good to be here.
Great to see you, Bruce. I know you've got a great topic that we're going to jump right into, and talking about estate planning. It's a big deal that people don't always want to talk about. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, it's not fun to talk about, really, and things like so. But at the same time, it's not just something that's Nashville-based. Things like this can go anywhere. And over the years, I've had some clients that have had maybe a mom, a dad, or relative that passed away, and we're dealing with the estate sale of the items and the property itself. Or sometimes maybe someone goes into assisted living. And I brought in investors. A lot of times the properties are not in that great shape and things like that. I brought in investors to maybe buy the property as is, or sometimes if they are in good shape, we'll just put it on the market. Mm-hmm. But so I've seen that side of things, but a few months ago, I was kind of thrown into the other side of it unexpectedly, where I was am an executor in an estate. Mm-hmm. So I'm dealing with a property out that's in the next state over. I had an estate sale, had to arrange that. The house needed work. I've had to do work on it. The house goes on the market next week. I've got someone else that's part of the will. I'm dealing with that person as well. So, on the estate part of it, I would say you need, if you are about to deal with this, maybe with a family member, you need to sit down and have a conversation with them about this, and talk to somebody that's been through this, mm-hmm. and see what is the best way to plan for things. It's not easy at all. But if you do things the right way, get a good estate attorney involved, and it will make the process go so much easier. Mm-hmm. There's so many things that could be done that make more sense on the front end. And that's easy, and it won't take much time, but it'll make things so much better later on.
It's why it's so important that you deal with an expert, and especially someone like yourself, who you have the empathy and understanding by going through this in multiple facets. And so having the right team around you, that's such a delicate time, but having experts is so important. And I'm really glad that you touched on this subject today to bring that in. I know on a positive note as well, with having estates, you also bring people to luxury properties and prepare them in advance for that. And then you have some great ones coming up right now, don't you?
I've got a lot of good ones coming up, and this tight market, being a really good market here in Nashville, sometimes it's hard to find the right property. So I've got 2 coming up in Green Hills, Nashville. I call these California contemporary homes. They'll be done in July. And it's like these are going to have very unusual features: large pivot doors, floating staircases in the 2-story foyer. We've got smart home technology throughout, ethanol fireplaces. It's really going to be, these are super, super sharp. And again, we've spent a lot of time developing these and designing these. I with the builder, designed these. I've got another one in Governor's Club, Brentwood, coming up, 4-car garage, really super nice pool. It was a Southern Living idea home years ago. That's coming on the market here in about the next month. I've got another one in South Nashville, Brentwood area, that's 8,300 square feet, 6 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, 6 bath home, 3-car main level garage. I've got some other homes that are coming up that are not as big than in South Nashville for the 270s, another one in Thompson Station for 370s coming up. So good variety of things, but it's always good to have an agent that you know that you can call that may know some things that are not listed right now and get the best deal possible. Last thing, my team, we represent 4 different custom builders right now, so we've got a lot of things coming out of the ground. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you again for being on today.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll be back with more of the American Dream.
You just heard from award-winning realtors about your marketplace. It's one thing to find your dream home. It's another thing to finance it. I've traveled the country to find the best mortgage experts in every city. You're going to hear from yours in a Mortgage Minute right now. Let's check it out.
And we've got our Mortgage Minute with Michael Brown of Churchill Mortgage. Michael, thank you for being on. Can you tell us, is this the right time to buy versus rent?
That's a great question. There's 2 stats that I recently read about that I thought were really interesting. The first one was there's 39 out of 50 states where buying a home is cheaper than renting. And in Tennessee, it's truer than ever. Rents are at an all-time high here in Middle Tennessee. So we found that most often folks can get into a mortgage payment much cheaper than what they're currently renting today. And they've also determined that a home buyer has a net worth over time 44 times greater than those who are renting. So 2 powerful statistics, and with the rates still being down, I think it's an excellent time to purchase a home.
I completely agree. Nashville is an incredible market to be buying into, and there's never a bad time to buy and start building that wealth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The American Dream, going against the grain of that negative media. Hey, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions with anything from today, real estate, finance, market related, email me, craig@craigsewing.com. And we'd also love for you to engage in the conversation on social media at The American Dream TV, at Craig Sewing Official. Please find us online. Love to hear from you. That's all for today, and we'll see you next time.